Cookie's junk!
I like a cookie.
Look at that. Jesus hangs out with hookers.
Yeah, and he says there's hookers in heaven, so he sounds a lot like you.
Nah, so walking into Publix, trying to mind my business, God forbid, be a normal human being. Then I remember, oh, wait, I'm a famous podcaster. So obviously someone's going to come up, try to get a photo, whatever. I've been there before, whatever. There's this girl. She comes up to me like, oh my gosh, Logan, you're so cute, this and that. I love your show. It's incredible. I love the X-Men series. I was like, oh, nice. I bet you do. I hate it, but I bet you do love it. She starts just blabbering, then just blurts out, hey, I want to see you do Dark Phoenix on the podcast as well. What's up with that? I was like, I don't know if I'll do it. Dark Phoenix kind of mid. And he's like, oh my gosh, Logan, please, you have to do it. Listen, all right, whatever. We're here. It's fine. We're doing X-Men Dark Phoenix today. I don't want to do it, but I made a promise. I'm a man of my word. We have 2 more episodes left to do here. We did Logan. We did Deadpool 2. We did everything else. We have these last 2 films to go through. These last 2 films are some of the worst, I guess. They're the last 2. This was during the phase of Marvel officially kind of just bought Fox. So, we're at the stage where everything's kind of fading out. No one seems to care anymore about these movies. Neither does the studio. So this is really the death of the Fox X-Men universe. So I'm kind of happy and sad to start going into it. So X-Men Dark Phoenix 2019. Context of this release, like I said before, Fox just bought X-Men, and also Endgame just came out like a couple weeks before it. So, RIP to the movie. Even though this year is very big for film, it's obviously one Endgame and also a ton of other cool comic book and a bunch of nerdy stuff. It's also 2019, one of the biggest years for film ever. Depending on who you ask, this is the best year for film in all film history. But yeah, 2019, biggest year for film, biggest year for Marvel with Endgame, also Spider-Man No Way Home. A lot of great movies coming out this year. So this movie was really just like kind of dead on arrival. No one really cared about it. No one really saw it, which is very upsetting. And how did I feel about this movie going into it? I forgot about it. I never even went to go see it in theaters. Never really cared about it because I know that Marvel's going about rebooting all of this stuff. And also, it's probably not going to be that good, like Apocalypse. And also, it wasn't that good, just like Apocalypse. So that was really upsetting. Also, this film had a lot of just bad stuff going on behind the scenes. The biggest one being Bryan Singer did not return. He, one, was directing the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, that, biopic with all Freddie Mercury and the gang and Queen. But also, I can't really speak on this that much, but he was accused of some pretty serious allegations. I don't know all of them in their entirety, so I don't want to really report on that here. But that was also a very big thing. So the director of this film is one of the producers from the last movie, and he also wrote, directed, and also he produced this movie. Really wore a lot of hats here. He has to be given a little bit of respect here for this movie because I think that it is obviously his fault, but still, it's not entirely his fault. I think that he was given, work to do here. He did a decent job with it, but he definitely could have done better. I mean, it's not entirely Simon Kinberg's fault that, Fox doesn't know how to do any of this superhero stuff. I mean, just looking at the box office, no one had faith in this movie. No one seemed to even care about it. This movie raked in $250 million against a budget of $200 million, which is a very horrendous flop for this movie. You may be saying, Logan, that's a little bit more. It made $250 million. The budget was $200 million. That should be good, right? Well, no. You have to think in terms of this movie having its budget, and then you have to think of marketing. Also, the theater cut, which, theaters take a certain percentage after every single weekend. So, you have to think about this movie has to make like a little bit over double its budget in order to make profit, and then also will get its money back and then start turning profit. So for this movie to make a actual good amount of money, it has to clear at least like $500 million for it to start making a little bit more of its money back. But that didn't happen. This film ranked in at number 35 for the year, which is very sad. And it also was a big year for film, like I said, with Endgame, Black Panther, Spider-Man No Way Home, a massive year for movies. And I can't really blame it for not performing that well. Even if it was a good movie, it would still struggle a teeny bit. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, I would hope this film would be a little bit better on that spectrum, but it still is not that good at all. The numbers are still very, very low. For the critic side of things, this movie has a 22% Rotten score. And for the audience side of things, this film has a 64% audience score. So very split down the middle. I'm not sure why. If you like this movie, I understand film's subjective, but still, there's better things out there, not only for X-Men, but just for films in general. A 64%, a little bit too high, but whatever floats your boat, film subjective, sometimes. We have one review here from the Roger Ebert website. Sadly, Roger Ebert died before this film came out, so we do have one review here from that website still, that's written by Brian Tallarico. And this film has a 1.5 out of 4 stars, which he gave it, which is definitely a low score, but once again, one that's very understandable. In his review, it's very, very sad because it's kind of just like a, not even a love letter, just like a kind of goodbye letter that this whole universe is really just over. In his review, he decided right here that everyone seems to agree that this X venture is the last cinematic one for a long time. Fox is being rolled into Marvel Empire, and we probably won't see Professor X, Magneto, or even Wolverine for years. By then, everyone would have forgotten Dark Phoenix. Heck, what will happen by the end of the month? After all, nobody even really cares anymore. And yeah, once again, we haven't really seen MCU do anything really with X-Men so far. We, are getting this, like tomorrow, we're getting the official marking into the MCU for the X-Men. We've had little teases here and there that no one really seems to care about. In Miss Marvel, that's when they first ever mentioned the word mutants. But once again, no one really watched it besides like 5-year-old girls and me and other nerds out there. And also we had in the Marvels, we have Beast in that movie as well inside of some X-Men timeline. So that's also really cool. We're going to see where that leads. We aren't sure what's going to be happening inside of this new Deadpool movie. I think there will be just some more X-Men characters inside of here who we don't really know yet. They're definitely keeping some pretty big cards here that I am very excited to see what it is. But, whatever they do, it'll probably be a little bit better than this. I will almost guarantee it. And over on Letterboxd, this film has a 2.1 out of 5 average. Definitely very, very low, but also very, very understandable. We have one review here from Bo Oliver, who is the host of the Nerd Soup podcast. I wish I could say that's our sister podcast, but, we're not cool like that. But, I still love those guys. They're actually really incredible. Nerd Soup, go listen to them. They're much better than us. But in Bo Oliver's review, he had this to write about it. He said, this film is terrible when I'm predicting lines of dialogue. An absolute disgrace to X-Men and also the Dark Phoenix storyline. He gave this film a 1.5 out of 5. And that is, once again, very understandable, very agreeable. This is definitely a disgrace to the X-Men brand and also the Dark Phoenix story. Once again, I don't read comics. I wouldn't really know exactly how this story should be, but outside looking in, this should be a bigger story. I should really care more about this story and these characters. This film fails to do that. Also, on the X-Men front, the X-Men stuff in this movie is not really good. This really isn't even like an X-Men film. And also, I just watched New Mutants. I had hope for that film, but also that movie isn't really an X-Men film, which is fine, but still, even on the mutant side of things, it doesn't feel like you're really tapping into it and taking advantage of everything that you really can be. So that's my prologue yapping for today. But, TLDR, this film just really didn't work. I wish it did. I really do have a little bit of nostalgia and sadness for this universe. I mean, these characters of, we have James McAvoy and also Michael Fassbender, and also just a ton of other incredible characters like Jennifer Aniston and also Nicholas Hoult. They're all absolutely incredible. I love these characters. I love these actors as well, portraying them. They're all really, really good in their roles, but they were just given terrible, terrible scripts. This is very, very tragic. But with all my yapping out of the way, I'll just go ahead and start talking about it here. X-Men Dark Phoenix, a film that really should have really never even happened, but somehow it did. Okay, so I started the film here, and, I really started out thinking to myself, I don't really want to be here. But yet again, it's my job. I'm somehow here right now. And, if you've heard like 95% of this series so far, I love the openings for every single X-Men movie. This one is definitely a noticeable step down. I can't really understand it and I can't really explain it, but I can tell just by the way a movie looks, like just the look of a movie. I just have this kind of instinct, spider sense that this film is going to be absolutely terrible. And this movie, no different. The just opening quality of the movie with the cinematography, whatever, editing, lighting, sound design, whatever you want to say, you can tell when a movie is just going to be really, really bad. This one, it's written all over. But the opening with Jean Grey and the origin of that character, is something that I enjoy because we don't get too much of this that often. Even in Origins, I do appreciate seeing that Logan origin opening, seeing who he was a little boy, and the tragedy of that character really at its very beginning is interesting. It's fun. I love that. Here, I'm going to appreciate it even more. And also, the title card is very, very cool. We don't get some massive CGI thing that's going into Cerebro. It's a very simple opening, and it's a very cool little title card that's very fun. I really like it. I really enjoy it. A small little thing I like about it, but still, it's a win in my book. A win is a win for this movie because overall, it just doesn't work at all. Moving past it into the opening of the movie, really the main opening set piece being the space mission stuff. That is very, very cool. But, a couple of things to really ding off here. Number one, the suits are terrible. Like, they look like they're fan-made suits for cosplay for Comic-Con, but even like fan-made cosplay outfits for Comic-Con would look better than this movie. It's sad. I'm not sure how that even works, but, yet again, it does. Another random thing in this movie, it's scored by Hans Zimmer, which is like very good. Like, the music is slapping and it's incredibly fire. Hans Zimmer has this weird tendency to be like one of the greatest composers of all time, yet he composes films like this and also Boss Baby. Why? I don't know, but he's still the GOAT. I can't really hate him for that. And also the space stuff in this movie, the X-Men going up to save the NASA astronauts, that's also very cool and makes me think, is this really a bad movie? Like, this opening is like at least like 7 out of 10 so far. I mean, the music's slapping, the chemistry's all there, the characters are awesome, and yet, like, I'm thinking to myself, is this film really that bad? You had me fooled for like 10 minutes here. This is like one of my favorite openings for an X-Men film so far. It's like a whole lot of fun. Feels like X-Men 97 without all the other cool characters and all the fun whimsical stuff in there as well. But still, this opening may have its trouble, it may have its problems, but it's still not exactly god-awful. It is a strong opening. It does everything it needs to do, tells us about the characters, the state of the X-Men, blah, 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 this and that, sets up arcs and character development pretty well here. Even though it's all an absolute dumpster fire, I so appreciate it. Like, the Phoenix Force being introduced, that music was really giving an incredible tone to this movie, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I love every single second of it. And after they come down from space from the space mission, the quality for the film only goes down. I'm not sure if that was some cool little motif for the movie, but yeah, when they start going down to Earth, the quality likewise goes down to Earth very, very steeply, a very steep decline. And it's up until this point where we get, I think, one of the worst, if not the worst pieces of dialogue that I've seen in a film, and also this entire series of the X-Men so far, where Mystique tells Charles Xavier that, this is like the X-Women. You should call us the X-Women now. That's, I'm not a fan of this. This is like really the start of really Charles Xavier being canceled in his own movie. In his own school, he gets canceled for being a bad person, which I'm not really a fan of. I do like them critiquing Charles's character and him as a person being critiqued in the film, but it's not done in that good of a way where I can really walk away satisfied. Especially after just watching Logan like a couple days ago. I love that because it really handles all of that stuff with the guilt of Charles Xavier really well. Here, it feels dumb. It feels like middle school and high school beef. It's not really good, solid execution of this subplot. Also, speaking of not good execution, we have Jessica Chastain, who is not only beautiful, but also an Academy Award-winning actress. What is she doing here? Why is she here? An actress of her caliber doesn't belong in a film like this, which is very sad. Also, speaking of very, very sad stuff in this movie, I love seeing Mystique and Beast talking about them being the last of the first class, which is like very sad. It makes me want to cry because I love that movie. I start to feel really old when I hear those lines, and it just makes me really sad because I love that group. I love that movie. It really does make this universe feel more lived in, feel more alive, even though I wish this universe wasn't really alive and it does, do lots of really bad. It's still just a whole ton of really good callbacks to the original films that makes me think once again, is this film that bad? But, it really, really is. And, despite it being really bad, I do love a lot of the fun stuff in this movie. Like, hey, we have Phoenix versus the X-Men. Phoenix versus the X-Men, that fight scene is really cool. It's only 5 seconds long, but still seeing Jean Grey as Phoenix, this, very powerful force going up against the X-Men, who's clearly unmatched, is absolutely fire. I can't lie. It is really, really cool. But, once again, what goes up must come down because Raven's death scene in this scene is very weird and awkward and doesn't really feel like a proper send-off to the character. I mean, the character herself as Mystique, she's been in this role for what, like at least like over 5-6 years now. She deserves a proper good send off. Also, just like the death of this character for the conduct of this universe, being Mystique, who's like right now in this universe, like one of the biggest characters and the biggest mutants of all time for this world. It feels like a very bad disservice to the character and one that I'm not really a fan of. Also, in this sequence of the X-Men versus Jean Grey, Quicksilver gets put on the bench, which is like a why would he be put on the bench? He's like literally one of the coolest characters out there, which is very bad. But what's also really good is that when Raven dies, there's a funeral scene. And like I say, like in every single episode we ever do, funeral scenes in movies and especially comic book movies are like always going to be just really, really good. And this one, absolutely no different. I love that this one is really them all reflecting on this death, and you can really see and feel the pain and all the emotion with this sequence. And also what I really love is also, even though I give a lot of hate to it, Charles Xavier being in the hot seat for majority of the film. I mean, he is very responsible for what happened to Jean Grey, for what happened to her becoming Mystique, all of her trauma. He isn't fully responsible, but he does play a part in this. Whether it was good or bad, he does still have good intention, but what happened is still not that good. And what also makes it really good is seeing him not only being critiqued by really everyone. I mean, everyone always critiques him. We had Magneto critiquing him. Wolverine always talks shit to him. But in this one, it's Beast who really just tries to just like flip out on him, which is really good. Seeing that Beast is always like been his right-hand man. So that really tension and ripple with the group is incredible. That is like really, really good for this film, and I absolutely love it. Once again, what I don't love is Magneto being in the film, because Magneto doesn't feel like he should be here. It feels like he was just forced into the movie as a whole. I think that they kind of went to Michael Fassbender saying like, hey, Michael, we have this new X-Men film coming out. You ready to come on set? And Michael Fassbender was like, I'm not like signed on to this movie. I don't have any contract with you guys anymore. I'm done with the X-Men movies. I'm done with it. I'm doing like David Fincher stuff now. And they told Michael Fassbender, like, hey, Michael, we gave a fuck. You're going to be in the film. I don't really care anymore, man. So Michael Fassbender shouldn't be here. The character is like, I feel like at this point being forced into the plot and forced into these films, which I don't like. I do love Magneto. He's always cool, always one of my favorites. But I think if he's going to be in the film, he should be in here, and it should feel like he earned his spot on the roster, which isn't that hard to do. But in this movie, he's literally like just chilling on his own island away from everyone else, and they literally decide to bring the plot to him, which is like, why? I wouldn't want that as Magneto. I would literally say, I don't really care about you guys. Leave me alone, please. But still, he's forced in here. Also, like the aliens forced into the movie. Why are aliens in this movie? Why? Who knows? Who cares? They're going really sci-fi with it. I respect it to an extent. But I don't really care about anything else. Third act time. Third act's here. Third act is really fun for this movie. It's pretty fire. I'm not going to lie. It is a whole lot of fun. The train fight scene. Come on. Look, I can't be too mad at it. It's really cool. It's really fun. But, everyone has their moment. Once again, this movie doesn't do a good job of characterization for anyone. I mean, Nightcrawler, I still don't really like him that much. We do get him kind of going into this, real good Nightcrawler mode, but that doesn't really last too long here. Also, we have Cyclops, who in the last movie I thought was kind of cool. This one, he hasn't really developed that much at all. He's still kind of a young kid, hasn't really grown into the full Cyclops that we can really see him be. So that's also really sad. And also really everyone else on this train fight scene, Storm, once again, done dirty. Beast is good, but still kind of done dirty still. I feel like no one is handled in a good way in this movie besides like Professor X, and also you have Jean Grey as the Phoenix, who's also really good. But besides that, everyone doesn't really have good character development, which is kind of sad and really upsetting, because there's once again really, really good actors in these roles that really should be taken advantage of, but they don't know how to, which is really upsetting. But gratefully, in the new phase of the MCU with the new X-Men, we will have a proper X-Men movie, a proper X-Men lineup, which I'm actually not sure how they would even do, but we'll see. Once again, Deadpool is going to be the official entry into the X-Men era of the MCU, so I'm here for it, happy to see it. Can't wait for it this Friday. But with the rest of this movie, pretty cool action. Jean Grey sacrifices herself, which is very upsetting, kind of bland, and just really, really annoying. Because once again, they somehow made it worse than Last Stand, which is very impressive, but once again, very, very upsetting. And maybe what's even more upsetting is Xavier pretty much being fired from his own school, which is just dumb. I'm not sure how he got canceled so bad that he got moved out of his school, like his childhood home at that, and then they changed the name of the school to the Jean Grey School, the Phoenix School. That doesn't make sense. I mean, why wouldn't you change it to like Raven instead of Jean Grey? What did Jean Grey do besides like killing like a ton of innocent people, and then she like killed off herself? Which, like, why would she be the name of the school when she didn't even really do anything? Whatever, who cares? But I love it in the end of the movie. What also kind of makes me cry, one, the end of this whole universe, really, and also two, is that Magneto is still there for the homie. He's still there for the bro. Charles Xavier, he has to move out to like Tahiti or something like Red Dead Redemption, but still, Magneto's still there for the homie. He's still there for the bro. That's beautiful stuff right there. And that's the movie. It's not good. I don't want to talk about it too much, but still, I do have a place for this film in my heart, in a very, very cold and dark place. Back when I was like 12 and 13 and 15, this was my shit. This is like my real shindig with movies. Now it's a bunch of old, like, you know, Japanese and French New Wave stuff, which is good, but still, films like this, they really made my life. I don't really see myself here without these kind of movies. So I do still love all these films. Regardless of how good or bad these films are, I will always love them. Even the bad ones like Dark Phoenix or even New Mutants, which is even worse than this, I still love this shit because I'm a nerd and that's just who I am. Very embarrassing and upsetting, but still, it's who I am. It's in my blood, it's in my DNA. I can't change it. Wish I could, but I can't. But that's X-Men Dark Phoenix. If you want to leave here, you can leave here. That's what I thought of the movie. But if you do want to stay, we do have superlatives here for the movie. It's kind of bland, it's kind of small, but still, I have to do superlatives because it's my job, it's in my contract, so whatever, that's what we're going to do here. So you can leave if you want and listen to something else, but I would really recommend you just stay here and buckle up because superlatives, it's the most fun you'll have here, like the MVP, which is going to be at the very end, so stick to it.
You are a blowfish.
What? Lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I get a spot? Okay.
All right, so usually with superlatives, we have like a full list of stuff, but you know, today there's some stuff kind of blank here. Our writers are off doing other things right now, so not all of them could stay here and work on the writing for this episode. So some stuff's blank because the movie's trash and also because the writers are busy. So we're going to go ahead and dive into what we do have here, which is the scene stealer. Best scene in the movie by far is the opening. No question, no debate. The opening is fire. It's insane. The NASA saving sequence, it's super cool. Awesome. I love it. Favorite quote from the movie is not available because I don't think I would have a favorite quote for this kind of screenplay, but you know, it's very sad, but it's just what it is. One small change is to not make the movie at all. This film is a tax write-off. Just do that. You will actually like save more money and make more money from being a tax write-off than actually releasing it. That's the truth. And as for double trouble, a good double feature would be, I think, Carrie and then Dark Phoenix. I've never seen Carrie personally, but I know it's really cool horror stuff with a teenage girl. That sounds a lot like Dark Phoenix, so do that. That'll be kind of fun. If this film was a song, what would it be? That's also just not available. Once again, a very bad screenplay, so I can't think of anything, really. I mean, this film was actually like worse than Origins Wolverine, which is really saying something. But even for Origins Wolverine, I still had a full list of stuff here. But with this film, I don't have a lot to go off of. But that's all good because we do still have the Buzz from the Backlot for the episode. What exactly is Buzz from the Backlot? What is it even? Well, it's just film fun facts. So it's film fun facts. We have 3 here for you, and you're not going to miss them. I know we usually have like one really cool monologue for Buzz in the Backlot, but you know, I'm not really feeling it today. I'm really tired. It's like 1 a.m. So, you know, I'm just going to go ahead. Buzz in the Backlot. We have 3 fun facts. I'm going to go ahead and tell them to you right now because they're a whole lot of fun. The very first Buzz from the Backlot, Phoenix was originally conceptualized with a fiery look for the movie, but it was revamped in post-production to look more cosmic, and also to avoid it being compared to Captain Marvel in 2019. And yeah, I didn't really mention it before, but yeah, this movie had a very bad production, like a lot of reshoots, a lot of things done in post-production like we see here. So that itself is its own episode because this film had a lot of just restructuring, rewriting, a bunch of reshoots, which made the movie, as we see here, feel very, very disjointed, very, very messy. and that makes it very, very upsetting to even sit through. So, the second fun fact here, for the role of Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence is now actually older than Rebecca Roman when she originally played the role of Mystique in X-Men 2000. And X-Men 2000 is a film that I would rather watch than this. So, there's that. And the last fun fact here, Hans Zimmer wrote over 16 hours of music for the film. And, why? Hans Zimmer, you're the GOAT. Like, write music for, like, Endgame or something, not this. Whatever, who cares? All right, and for the last thing here, for the MVP, I'm actually going to give it over to Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner in this movie is good. I mean, the film is overall very bad, but, she is the film. This is still her movie. She has most of the screen time, most of the dialogue, and she is the film. It is really much so a Jean Grey movie. So if she's not good, this one will be even worse. But she does a really good job here. I think she does a really good job of the role, fitting into the role like a glove, making her own as well. And Sophie Turner doesn't have a lot of roles besides like Game of Thrones and also X-Men. But, once again, she's a great actress, but she just was given a not so good script, which is very annoying, very upsetting. But still, she did a pretty good job. She earned the MVP. That might actually also be the first woman to win an MVP for the series. But, it's not really the woman's fault. It's just like Fox for making Hugh Jackman like the main character of every single movie. Whatever, doesn't matter. My final score for this film is an F. Not an F minus, not an F plus, just an F for right now because it failed. It wasn't good. That's exactly why it's an F. No explanation needed there. But until then, we have Deadpool 3 coming out tomorrow, and I will be seeing it tomorrow. And also tomorrow is our New Mutants episode. That is the series finale for this X-Men series. I shouldn't have done this, but I've had a lot of fun here. Maybe I don't have the most downloads in the world, I'm not the biggest podcast in the world. We didn't grow as much as I'd like to with this series, but still, I love this series. I love you guys. Even for like one person listening to this episode, you're still fun. I still love you. But, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Deadpool 3 is worth it. I've been seeing some reviews that like the movie's like good, but kind of like bad at the same time. We'll see. Friday, I will have a review out on our socials, but also on that Monday, I will try to have a review out then. So we'll see you guys then. Well, no, see you tomorrow for Friday for that episode for the New Mutants. But until then, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more films like every single day. Watch Deadpool in theaters because, support the big guys up there. But, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more films. And also, I'm your host Logan, and I'll see you guys in the movies.